I'm excited to introduce you to this next young man. I'm sure a lot of you know him, have heard of him. He's homegrown, and he is a great speaker and an author, a teacher, and he's been on the Steve Harvey Show, and he's young. Dr. Eddie Connor, good morning.
Wonderful. Glad to be here. Good morning to you.
Glad to have you.
One of the great
Glad.
divas in Detroit,
Oh,
divinely inspired, victorious, accomplished sister. So I'm honored, humbled, and privileged to be on the show today.
well, Eddie Connor, Eddie Connor. Okay, you're on the show. You don't have to say it anymore. I'm just kidding.
It's not enough words in the vocab to be able to express, what you do in the city. So great to be here.
Listen, let's give the audience a little of your background first.
Yeah.
And you were born here, right?
Right, right.
Tell us a little more.
I'm a son of the city. I'm from the east side,
East
Warren and
Side?
Connor,
Oh,
east side of Ryder. So I'm the son of the city, but I grew up in Kingston, Jamaica for part of my life. You don't hear the accent, but yeah, man, we still got the accent, man,
oh,
from time to
patois.
time,
Give
the
him that
patois.
patois.
Absolutely. So, I do a number of things in the community, mentoring. I have a program called Boys to Books, empowering young men through literacy, leadership, and life skill development, which was the impetus for President Obama's My Brother's Keeper initiative. I work as a professor at Marygrove College on the high school level
What
as
do you
well.
teach?
I teach social justice and literacy advocacy.
Wow.
Yeah, and so what a prime time to be teaching that in the climate of America that we're
You know, when
engaging
you
today.
mention literacy,
Mhm.
it's like being in a jail if you cannot read and
Absolutely.
interpret. It's like being in a jail, don't you think?
Oh, without a doubt. And what they say, the Pro Literacy Organization says that 60% of the residents in the city of Detroit are functionally illiterate.
It is true, though.
Yeah,
It,
yeah.
it is true. I thought it was 56, but you might as well round it
Yeah.
out. And anyway, go on. I had to stop about that literacy thing.
It's very, very unique and important, especially Dr. Jawan Zaganjufu in his book, This Conspiracy to Destroy Black Boys, speaks to the prisons being built based on second and third grade reading scores. So literacy and empowerment and mentorship is very key. You're holding a few of my books now, and this is two of my five that I've written. But I have a powerful story of overcoming the odds and the
Why don't you
obstacles.
tell the audience about it?
You know what? I got to give great deference to these young men who came up prior to me, the Austin Brothers Company, and that's what it's about. Tavis Smiley says young people are like Kodak film; all they need is development and exposure. So for their parents to be exposing them and developing them to the greatness that they have on the inside of them, awakening the giant
Right.
on the inside is very important. And I heard them speak to their obstacles that they've overcome. Myself, as at the age of 15, faced my greatest challenge, and I was diagnosed with NHL after experiencing a number of different
Tell the
chest
audience
pains.
what that is.
I thought it was National Hockey League. I said, I'm getting ready to be the youngest owner of a National Hockey League team. The doctor says you have non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. And
Cancer.
cancer, right? Not one, not two, not three, but four, stage 4
Stage
cancer.
4?
Yes. Couldn't breathe, and they cut me open. They saw my cells were growing so fast. They could see them growing with the naked eye around my trachea, my esophagus, my voice box, my heart, the place I'm speaking to you out of right now. And oftentimes the enemy in your situation tries to shut your mouth through the various trials that you go through. But I had to realize and recognize that my faith is in God, and I have a praying mother who encouraged me to let me
I
know.
met your mother.
Yes.
She's Dr. Connor.
Yes,
too.
Dr. Janice Connor, right. She was the motivation for me to go on and pursue higher education as well. But she encouraged me and let me know a knockdown is not a knockout unless you stay down. We all get knocked down, but we got to get back up again because there's a champion inside of us. Scripture says, you shall not die, but live and declare the works of the Lord. And so that's what I'm doing today, empowering people to overcome their obstacles. And I'm blessed to be a blessing.
So, how long did it take you to overcome this?
Close to 2 years. And I grew up without a father in my life, and he never visited me one day in the hospital, which is, painful to not have the support system there. But chemotherapy, radiation, 5 days a week, I got my hair back now, but lost not just my hair, but my self-confidence at that time. People be with you.
Illness does that to
Yeah.
you. When you're ill or you have something going on, all of a sudden it's like, what's the use?
Right.
But you had encouragement.
Yes. And even that source of encouragement was just my faith in God, but also just that one person, my mother. And sometimes, if you just have one worrier, one worrier can offset things, but if you have a warrior in your life, it can really push you past the tide that are trying to corral you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So what happened after that?
Well, after that, I was still able to graduate from high school because I was out of school my sophomore year. Was still able to graduate on time, but
Where'd you graduate
from Ferndale High School, I was a transfer from Benedictine High, and
Benedictine.
yeah, yeah,
Was Mr. Mack over there?
he was
That
at
was
that
my
time.
government teacher. And I have been cursing his name only because he told my mother, I have to say this. Mr.
Yeah.
Mack is cool, he was funny, all that stuff. But I went to a Catholic school that had maybe 40% black and 60% white. And he told my mom, he gave me a C. And he told my mother, she can't write. But he never said, he says she has all the information, but it's not structured right. So why didn't you teach me to structure it right?
Right.
I had to learn to do it. Now I've authored 3 books. I
Oh.
wrote a column for 7 years for the Southfield Eccentric. I've written plays and everything, but it wasn't due to him. Something he could have done early to show me the way.
Absolutely.
And that's why I became the teacher that, people claim I am. But because I never want to discourage anybody. But Mr. Mack.
Yeah, yeah. And
You hear that?
and I was discouraged at one point because I was as getting ready to go into my senior year as a student, and my guidance counselor, keyword guidance counselor, she said, Eddie Connor, you'll never go to college.
God.
You're not going to go to
Who are
community
these
college.
people?
Much less get a degree. You need to pick up a trade. And it really, pained me and hurt me at that time. But I said, you know what? I'm going to use the negative positively.
Yeah.
And for a lady to tell me that I'll never go to college, I'm now a professor at a college.
That's what I'm
And
talking
so
about.
you-
I'd love
you-
to see her walk into your classroom.
Turn the negative positively. And for anybody who, just like these young men mentioned, your dream has to be bigger than your fear. And I like to say, if your dream is affordable, you're not dreaming big enough.
That's right.
So don't go negative on the negative. Use the hater as an elevator and go higher.
Absolutely.
That's right.
Absolutely. And so you got your doctorate, but while you were working on your doctorate, what did you do?
Well, still teaching on the high school level over at University High School, and then also just implementing my program, Boys to Books, writing books, sharing my story in various speaking engagements, of course, a number of different things via media, but also being a part of a program and an organization called Be Me, Black Male
Right,
Engagement.
right.
Where we're bringing brothers from all over the country, Philadelphia, Pittsburgh, Detroit, Truman Hudson, Shaka Senghor, who's now going to be on Oprah. Brothers who are actually doing the work in the community, because black men are not liabilities, we're assets
Absolutely.
to our community. And so,
Absolutely.
despite what the negative media dispels, we are the ones who are telling our story.
Yeah, and don't let anybody
Right.
tell your story because it won't be right.
That's right.
And see, there are more good men than bad men.
That's right.
But the audience doesn't see that. I mean, not the audience, the nation
Right,
doesn't
yeah.
see that. Now, let's talk quickly about your 2 books you brought. Unleash, Unlock, Unwrap. Unwrap the gift in you. Can you tell us, well, I guess it's self-explanatory, but what are a couple of things that you say in here for people to unwrap what is untapped?
Yeah, that's good. The fact of the matter is everybody's a red box and a gold bowl. We're gifts to the world. And oftentimes we allow people to define us rather than we allow ourselves to refine us and look within the gift and the goal that we have on the inside. The tragedy is that people look at the package but never open up the gift. And that is the whole aspect of
Give an example of that.
people judge you based on what you have or what you don't have. And it's really not about what you have, it's about who you are. But you can never know who you are until you know whose you are. And when you realize you're a child of God, when you realize there's a king and a queen on the inside of you, you can give birth to the value. Pablo Picasso, well, I'll start with this. Proverbs says, stir up the gift. The Apostle Paul in Scripture says, matter of fact, Apostle Paul says, stir up the gift. Proverbs says your gift will make room for you, bring you before great men. But Pablo Picasso, one of the greatest painters of all time, says the meaning of life is to find your gift. The purpose of life is to give your gift away. is not for you. It's to bless somebody through your story of struggle and strength. That's what
Absolutely.
Unwrap the Gifted in You is all about. And so you got to get it. It's going to birth the power that's on the inside of you to develop yourself and to understand your purpose. African proverb says 2 most important dates in your life are: number 1, the day you were born, and secondly, the day you realize why you were born.
Then you realize
Yeah.
why. And sometimes it just doesn't come to you when you're 9 and 10 years
Yeah.
old, like the Austin brothers.
I wish I got it that early. My goodness.
I know. Sometimes it's down the road.
Yeah.
When you say, you try something and say, can I do this? And like you say, the fear.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people don't do things because they're scared or they're fear of failure, but everybody fails sometimes.
That's right. That's
Isn't
right.
that correct?
That's right. You're absolutely right. And sometimes failure is the place that sets you up for success, and you fail forward. I'm one step closer to the goal because of what I've gone through.
And I know what not to do.
Absolutely.
Again.
Yeah.
Let me get back up on that horse.
Yeah.
Or that bike.
That's right.
You know, they always say, didn't you fall off your bike when you were a kid?
All the time.
And me too. I still have
I
those-
still might need training wheels.
But you fall off. What if you didn't get back on?
Yeah.
And we have to get back up on that horse. We got to show some bravery.
That's right.
And that's a word that people don't pass around that much, but I think it's brave to be able to say, listen, I fought hard, I overcame cancer, which people think is totally insurmountable.
Yeah.
And at a young age, that could be totally discouraging.
Absolutely.
But you had one person behind you mainly who helped you get back on that horse and said, you can do it. You will be healed.
That's right.
Besides God.
That's right.
Now let's look at this. Heal your heart. Now what is this about?
Well, I wrote that book.
Oh Lord. I could have written this too. We could have written it
We
together.
could have co-authored. I wrote that book as really an ode to extol the virtues and values of what women bring to society. There's a quote that suggests no nation can rise higher than its women. And so the meaning of that is you can't write about healing if you haven't been hurt. You can't write about breakthrough if you haven't been broken. And a lot of times the relationships that you go through sometimes can cripple you if you don't heal from it. And really, life is like a flight. If you got too much baggage on the plane, you could possibly crash.
Absolutely.
It could bring you down. And so I share about how to overcome obstacles, and as well as knowing your value, seeing your worth, loving yourself. You can't expect anybody to love you until you first love yourself and
Absolutely.
recognize your value and your worth. And so I've got some chapters in there such as cancel my subscription, I'm through with your issues.
Yes, I like the way you worded that.
I've got another one, it begins from within, because really the whole aspect of healing is from within first. Sometimes things you go through can end up making you bitter, but you've got to use it to make you better.
Don't you
Got
see
to.
a lot of bitter people around?
Without a doubt. Without a doubt, just
Women
humble.
and men.
Well, absolutely.
And you wonder to yourself, well, God, when are they going to get over this?
Yeah.
And this is a book to help that.
Without a doubt. And really one thing as well is understanding that you are a magnet. And basically what you are attracting is based on what's going on the inside of you.
Absolutely.
You're either repelling the negative or attracting the positive, or it's vice versa.
Well, I just thought of something. What about if somebody, they start dating and the man realizes the woman, she kind of has her own, she's willing to get out there, and plus she's willing to help him, live his dreams too, but then the intimidation factor. And I hear a lot of women talk about that, and they start, like she has a lot of assets, but then they start downing her assets to make her feel. I've heard a lot of women talk about how people have destroyed their self-esteem. And I always say, don't put your happiness in someone else's hands.
That's right. That's right. And really, even that whole aspect of self-esteem, you can't be given to you. It's got to begin with self.
Absolutely.
And a lot of people who are insecure want to sit on you and don't allow you to hatch. They want to crush you, and they don't want you to soar. They want to cripple you. They want to crush your wings. They want to keep you in a chicken coop when they know you're an eagle.
Absolutely. So, But when you love somebody,
Yeah.
love is very subjective.
Yeah.
And it's hard for people to see this person may not be the right person for me.
Absolutely.
Correct?
Yeah. When you've got love and you have people who surround you with love, they want to see you grow and go to the next level. That's what that's
I've
about.
seen people I've seen women or men be treated unfairly by the opposite sex. They said, but he or she does love me. I know they do love me. And they go about trying to change that person. Is that possible?
I don't think you can change anybody. I think you have to allow people to transform their life, and sometimes you have to step away from people so that they can grow. Some people can't grow being coddled and connected to you because they may not necessarily appreciate who you are until you begin to step away.
Right. And once you step away,
Yeah.
they'll notice something is missing sometimes.
Right.
Now, you have a chapter called Drunken Love.
Yeah.
What is that? That's not Beyonce, is it?
That was the impetus behind it. But a lot of times, and really I flipped the script on that and really wrote it from the whole aspect that sometimes we become so thirsty for people to love us and so thirsty just to get things from other people rather than being really intoxicated with the love that's on the inside of ourselves. And really the love that we get is through a relationship with God, but it's also through healing from the vestiges of our past. You can't really live until you forgive. Mark Twain said, really forgiveness is the fragrance that is shed on the violet from the heel of the violet that has crushed it. And so when I begin to love myself and see my value and know my worth, that's when I begin to attract people who are not just going to be good to me, but good for me.
Yeah, because it's like you're being held hostage
Yeah,
in your head.
absolutely.
When you're worrying and hating on somebody and things like that. Grow or go. I heard this philosophy, and it's in one of my poems, but it says some people go through life, some people grow through life, and others just go.
Yeah, right.
Could you explain your interpretation of that?
Absolutely. Everybody's going to go through a situation. And really, oftentimes, when you're going through a situation, sometimes you come out better, sometimes you come out worse, sometimes you come out unchanged. But when you begin to grow through the situation, that's what speaks to maturational self-development, that I'm getting better because of what I've gone through. I'm not going to be bitter because of it. I'm going to be better as a result of it. I'm growing
I just
stronger.
thought of something. Do you think that people can grow out of a relationship?
If the other person, yeah, I do. If somebody who you are with that you're connected to is stagnant, they don't want to grow, they don't have any goals or achievement, then they're also trying to debilitate your growth and who you are. Really, and really so many people fall in love, and I don't necessarily like the connotation of fall in love. Sometimes you have to stand in love because
Absolutely.
because if you're with the wrong person, you just may need to be able to have your aspect and your feet situated to where you may need to walk away. But it's not so much that you're walking away from them in that aspect. It's the people that you're connected to. If they can't help you move your life to the next level, then they never were meant for you.
We have a call. Good morning, Sylvia.
Hi, I just wanted to ask if the gentleman will give out any information to keep up with his speaking engagement so that others that may be interested could participate or bring the youth to his speaking event.
Oh, definitely.
Absolutely.
Definitely. Thank you.
Yes, and even in juxtaposition with that, you can get the books on my website. The revolution will not be televised, it'll be digitized. So I want you to go to my website, eddieconnor.com, EDDIECONNOR.com. There you will find a various number of speaking engagements. I got one coming up this Sunday at Jameson Temple under the leadership of Pastor Homer Jameson, 12-530 on Mack Road, 12530 Mack at 11 a.m. I'll be the speaker this Sunday. You can meet me in Texas if you're going to be there next week, next Thursday. I'll be in Commerce, Texas at Texas A&M University speaking. And, of course, the Women's Empowerment Expo next Saturday. You want to make sure that you meet me there with Iyanla Van Zant. And Wendy Williams. Tell a girlfriend to tell a girlfriend. Everybody need to make sure that you come.
Everybody. I spoke at Texas
Absolutely.
A&M
Oh,
twice.
yes.
Twice. I love
Oh, wow.
that. I love that place, you know.
Yeah, yeah, it's gonna be my first time there, so
Yeah,
I might need your notes so I can
No, oh,
be invited back
it
for a
was like
second
in
time.
2001, in 2000 and 2001, but it was a great experience. It
Yeah.
was me, Sister Soldier, and
Oh,
Donna Richardson.
oh, that's awesome
Yeah,
right
it was a
there.
great tour. Now we could get your books, and you have 5 of them,
I
correct?
do, I
Can
do.
you give the other titles?
Yes, the other title, my first one, Purposefully Prepared to Persevere, where I share my detailed struggle through overcoming obstacles as well as cancer. I've got another one, Collections of Reflection, Symphonies of Strength. That's 40 poems of just empowerment, rhythm, and rhyme. The third one is Econ the Icon, From Pop Culture to President Barack Obama.
Tell us about that. That's an interesting title.
Yes, and really that is detailing the whole aspect of really how we have moved, being 400 years here in these yet to be United States of America, under the leadership, of course, the last 8 years of President Barack Obama, but also moving from segregation to discrimination to presidential inauguration twice, and then also the things talking about police brutality, talking about much of what is going on in the climate of America, social injustice, and things that we need to be cognizant and aware of.
Always.
To be not just on the sidelines, but to engage on the front lines.
Always,
Yes.
always. I am just so excited that you're here, and you got so much going. I mentioned the Steve Harvey show. Tell us about that and how you got on it.
Yeah, boy, that was a wonderful opportunity to meet the king of comedy and daytime talk TV. You know, they brought me on in juxtaposition with this book, Heal Your Heart, talking about relationships, and they brought me on as the, dare I say, most eligible bachelor in Michigan. And so they they brought me on there to kind of share a little bit about relationships and showcase that. So that was a wonderful opportunity. You know, a lot of times TV is smoke and mirrors, but to just be able to talk to Steve, and he's in the whole aspect of mentoring as well. So to gauge his mind and get some feedback from him about how to really transform the lives of our young men, especially. To not go to prison but to Princeton, not to go to jail but to Cornell and Yale, and then to engage them and expose them to opportunity. It was great to connect with him there.
Expose them to opportunity, and sometimes you just can't do it in this giant leap. You got to take them step by step.
Step by step.
You have to learn. I used to tell them, I said, let's see what tomorrow brings. Let's see what we could do. One thing that might be successful for you.
Yeah.
And as they start obtaining a little success, they like success.
Yeah.
And then it becomes part of their mantra.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Exposure is key, and just helping them step by step. You know, just being in their life. You know, not saying that you're going to, not giving them lip service, but letting your life be that service.
Absolutely. Well, before we end, we have a trailer. We showed it last week. I want to mention to you that the Trinity International Film Festival is going to be here, and a film that I produced and directed, In Trayvon's Footsteps.
Oh, wow.
Is well, it's about putting the shoe on the other foot. You talked about social justice and all of that. Well, I'm really into that, and with people like yourself, I think a difference can be made.
Absolutely.
And you're mighty sharp today. I was going to say,
appreciate
you got
it.
a polka dot shirt on. And, I mean,
You know, I got to come correct on this show.
Oh, yeah, you come correct every time
Oh.
I see you. But, ladies and gentlemen, Table Talk is coming on right after this, and we have a very special one for you today. We'll be talking about the Voting Rights Act and other things. But, Eddie, don't be a stranger, and maybe one day you could be one of the co-hosts on Table Talk.
Oh,
That's
absolutely.
a great show.
I'd love it.
So we're going to show that trailer, and the film festival is in 2 weeks, and we'll talk more about it as it goes on. So we'll go off of this show with the trailer from In Trayvon's
If you ask me, if the
Footsteps.
city had a few more like Zimmerman out there, these thugs would take a second thought about some things.
These streets is more than just cold at night. They dangerous.
Mr. WXKT himself, News at 11. Told you, man, I'm your #1 fan.
You know, I really don't think the Martin family feels their son falls into the thug category.
Somehow things like the truth and justice just slip through the cracks.
I warned you! He had a hoodie on, man.